because he's joining us. The publisher of Detroit Lions on Sports Illustrated, one of the best in the business, joins us every single Wednesday. Chop it up, talk some ball. Please welcome to the show, Mr. John Maakaron. John, how we doing?
Can't be better. I'm covering an NFL team that drops 40 points on average the last month. They've scored 160 or more points, 161, I believe, in the last 4 games. It's been absolutely amazing to watch this Detroit Lions team dominate offensively. It's a football team that I'm very impressed to cover, and it's another big game. Chiefs on the road, man. I'm excited, man. It's a good week.
Yeah, it is, Doc. It's a good time to be a Lions fan, a Tigers fan. We'll talk to you later about the Tigers as well. But before we get to all of it, Doc, can I get your thoughts on the Terran Arnold situation? Because it seemed like in that Bengals game, he re-aggravated the shoulder injury that he sustained in the prior game. He played, he re-aggravated it. It was first reported, it was Tom Pelissero, season-ending, and then their conflicting report, he'll be back within a month. Okay, 2 drastically different reports. But what'd you think of Terran Arnold's injury and how they've kind of handled it now with signing Arthur Millette, but just on Terran Arnold and not having him for a little bit?
Yeah, it might be a day to take some shots at the national media. Dan was mad at ESPN's Adam Schefter for potentially a bogus report. The Schefter and Pelissero were looking at the early results and saying, oh, it's going to be a long-term situation. And then they're like, oh, wait a minute. No, it's not going to be a long-term situation. So some interesting, maybe they wanted to be first instead of being accurate, which I understand. Look, it's a quick-paced business. There's a lot of information to be wondered about. And so a lot of the national media guys were just giving the update as it was going on. And so I was a little bit concerned. I was like, oh, man, I was at first going through the same roller coaster probably as fans, wondering, man, this is going to hurt his development. You really need him to play to work out some of these issues. You got to remember, even though you mean fans out there that are calling him Terrian Okuda, he could work out some of these mistakes because this football team is so good offensively. Like, you literally have a football team that can erase his mistakes. Literally. So I wasn't as mad as everybody was about the struggles that he had. He did have them. But at the same token, being that I love, defense, you clearly see that he can improve. But look, now, we're still up in the air based on Dan Campbell. He's obviously, what's been reported by Dan, he's got some inflammation. He's got some things he's got to work through. It may not be season ending. Look, if, I'm going to root for him to succeed. And for him to succeed, he's got to be out there. The Lions invested a first-round pick in a player that they expect to be a man-to-man cover corner. And look, he's going to struggle. It's the toughest position. I've been screaming it for 3 years. I would, if when me and him have our first beer together, I'm be like, man, don't you want to play any other position besides this one? It's the position where you make 9 plays and you give up 2 bad ones, and people are going to look at you. Look at Amik Robertson. He really played pretty well against, the Bengals, but he got cooked on a bad decision that he made. And that's what everybody sees. And that's what he's got to answer to. That's why he looked pissed after the game. But I'm of the opinion that Terrian Arnold, being away hurts the team. But at the same token, you can't control it. He's out. Next man up. I'm okay with Amik Robertson, but not okay this week. I'm a little bit concerned that Patrick Mahomes is going to be looking at it like, I got to go up against Amik Robertson and Rocky Sin. Let's go. But on the optimistic side, Amik playing for the Raiders knows what it's like to prepare for Patrick Mahomes. But I just think that for Terrian Arnold, it's a tough position, but one in which if he can overcome it when he comes back, all the hate, all the, real critical look at his play, if he can overcome that, I really think there's a chance for him to become special in the future. It's just, you're going to have to deal with the bumps, man. It's a tough position. The dude's 22 years old. He's not going to be, Patrick Surtain. He's not going to be Deion Sanders in year 2. That's just not the way it's going to be. And I don't even know if you're allowed to be Deion Sanders anymore in the National Football League. And I'm just thankful that the offense can clean up his mistakes.
Yeah, Doc, just sticking to injuries here. Obviously, there's still the Taylor Decker injury on the left side of the ball there on the offensive line. What do you see happening here? Because Dan actually mentioned, and we talked about it today, how Dan brought up the whole thing where potentially if they have another tackle that can play the right side, that they have thought about at some points potentially moving Panay to the left side. Do you think there's ever a chance here this season that you will ever see Panay on the left side of the ball? protecting Jared Goff's blind side? And what do you think as well for this Taylor Decker injury? Do you see him playing on Sunday versus the Chiefs?
Listen, it's interesting because Dan said that he wanted him to get added strength. And so, I do believe that 1 week off definitely did him well. He talked to Dave Burkett today, the fine reporter that you all read and get information from. And he indicated that, it's up in the air, it's really, to me, when you're 4-1, you got to read between the lines. You signed Dan Skipper. That might indicate, maybe give him the extra weeks off to get right. So I lean toward, him being out until I see some signs. But, with Taylor Decker, look, you need him, whatever the plan is, you need him ready to be there in the postseason and whatever that takes. And so I don't want to rush it. I think that, again, look at what happened. You scored 40 points with Manu. So that's a real good sign. And the more experience that he gets, I'm very curious because I don't have an opinion on would I play Skipper or Manu because, they both have some strengths. They both have some weaknesses. So it's a very interesting situation. But right now it's up in the air. It's early in the week. I'm going to get a sense of it a little bit later in the week as to what's going to happen. But I'm leaning toward no because I do think that you can be okay. I mean, the hits on Jared Goff were rough, and maybe that's why you want to go with more of veteran experience. So we'll see.
I've interrupted the video to tell you, and specifically all those blue-collar workers out there, about the best work boot and workwear brand out there, because you guys know how hard it is to choose work boots specifically. We've all done labor jobs. We've all needed work boots, and choosing work boots means sacrificing comfort or durability. If they felt good, they didn't last. And if they lasted, they wrecked your feet. Brunt thought that was BS. So they built tough work boots that feel great from day one. No break-in, no sore feet. I've wore a bunch of different boots, and these are by far the most comfortable work boots I've ever worn. They felt comfortable right out of the box, which is rare. No long, painful break-ins like these other brands. But they're just not comfortable. They're built to perform. So it's more than just comfortable. Whether you need waterproof, safety toe, soft toe, pull on, or lace up, they got options that you can utilize. Also, use the code CT Sports for a limited time. Our listeners will get $10 off at Brunt when you use the code CT Sports at checkout. Head to bruntworkwear.com, use the code CT Sports, and you're good to go. Use the code, and after you order, they'll ask where you heard about Brunt. Do us a favor and tell them it was from our show. You work too hard to be stuck in uncomfortable boots that don't hold up. So they built something better. Boots that are insanely comfortable and built for any job site. I mean, look at these things. Love these. Soft toe. These are beautiful. I ordered these. I'm definitely going to be wearing these when you're working outside, working on different things around the house. You never know when you need them, and they're clean. They're sleek. I love these. So go get your work boots or workwear at bruntworkwear.com. Shout out to them for sponsoring the video as always. Yeah, Doc, I actually wanted to ask you, I know you already gave your opinion, but just like the narrative after the game on Sunday was, a lot of Manu, it was criticism and people also being a little more hopeful, or at least like, guys, he's still a developmental project. Where are you at? Maybe not with his play on Sunday, because you kind of stated it's hard to evaluate. I mean, he gave up 2 sacks on Jared Goff. But what's kind of your patience level, or what do you think the Lions' patient level is at that left tackle spot? Because he was brought here to be a developmental player. Do you think he's done enough yet to kind of earn that spot, or at least earn the patience? Or do you think they should be trying to look to replace Taylor Decker after the season? Where are you at with Manu and his development so far?
Yeah, no doubt about it. But let me just address one thing in the comments. I have never once put out a bogus story, never once. And I think some of your commenters need to learn really media literacy. My job is also to comment and report what people in my own field do. Okay. So, and also if you look at the Ragnow situation in regards to calling it bogus, let's use some common sense here, people. And I know it's higher level. You might not be smart enough to think it, but if I'm making $9 million a year and the second I sign it, somebody else makes 25 and you tell me he's happy, something's wrong with you. Of course he would want more money. Of course he'd want to be, if you're him, you want to be paid at that level. So whether he's going to say it publicly or not, you also got to remember Dan Campbell got caught in a little wiggle earlier this week when someone found out that Manu was told on Tuesday that he was starting. So I want you guys to realize, okay, which is a fun job, which is why I love it. Coaches will look at you right in the face and lie to you. Okay, so please don't tell me that I came with bogus reports. Never in a million years. Now, will I report things that somebody else says that ended up being false? Yeah, I wrote the story that Adam Schefter said, but my job is to say that Adam Schefter said it. So figure it out. And the one thing that does bother me is the fact that we've become dumber as a society where people will read your stuff and they don't understand what they're reading. My job is to report on everything about the Lions. So I wrote, Adam Schefter said that the Lions sent in the file. That clears me. I have to say where I got it from. Now, was it true? No. Well, we don't know. We still don't know. Adam Schefter said it to 10 million people, and Dan Campbell called it bogus. Now, my job really should be to go find it out, but I'm busy, and I'm having a good time with my life outside of sports. So you're absolutely right. I should go research in terms of whether it's true or not. But, guys, listen, I'm enjoying life at the highest degree. It's the last couple of hot days I can jump in the pool, so I'm not going to go research that. Now, Manu, I love it because he's going to get some experience. Now, that's a tough job too. At left tackle, you could have 48 good snaps, but if you give up 2 sacks to Jared Goff, he wasn't happy. So if he wasn't happy, I'm not happy. And of course, I never want to see the starting quarterback making $50 million getting hit. You know, he gave up, I think he got sacked 3 times. Twice were Manu, and once was Brock Wright whiffing on a block. But I look at it, and it's what I expect from a developmental player. He's got the framework of a left tackle, but he doesn't have the experience. He played in Canada. And, you know, I'm not of the opinion you learn on the job, but they were forced to. And the Lions were able to deal with it, thankfully. When Manu plays and Jared Goff walks off the field healthy, I'm very happy. But I'm very concerned. I don't want to see Manu in the playoffs. Not at all. My anxiety level would be quite high. Even if he plays from now till the end of the year, he doesn't have the experience. Taylor Decker is the best option. Make sure that man is playing at a high level come December. If it's Manu, you're going to be in trouble.
What about an update here, at least an opinion, because you don't have they haven't announced anything yet, but Lee McNeil was a full practice participant today. Are we just at a point right now, Doc, where we're just waiting on the confirmation from Dan? Because I haven't seen limited practice. I know last week he talked about he looks really good. What do you think, in your opinion, the likelihood that we could see Lee McNeil this week against the Chiefs?
Very low. And again, I'm having fun with Artur because he's so stupid. Artur, I'm not a journalist, bro. I call myself a podcaster. So you go do journalism. You go figure it out. You go come in and answer it for me. I don't need to, bro. I've reached the mountaintop and I'm just riding the wave, bro. I'm not a journalist. I've never said I was. The first thing you read on my site, if you can read, go read it at Detroit Podcast, and then you can figure it out. So you don't have to judge me because I'm not a journalist. I never claimed I was. I publish content related to the Detroit Lions. I like money. I like to do the job and be rewarded for the efforts that I do. And I like being the boss. And I like commenting on dumb people like you every single week. It makes the job really fun. Instead of talking to air, I get to talk to people who are stupid like you and say things that are so far wrong that it's kind of fun to clarify. But I don't even know if you're going to understand based on the fact that you don't even know. I'm not a journalist, bro. I'm not a journalist. Never took a class. I'm just a smart ass dude that had a good time doing this. And it's great. And I love the situation that I'm in. With the Lee McNeil, I look at it and I say, I know everybody's excited like a new toy. Let's get him in there. But I'm liking the way the defensive line's playing. I mean, I'm of the opinion you don't play. I mean, guys, come on. Listen, it could happen. You know, I should journalistically go and dig with his agent and be like, hey, is this guy playing? But I've texted way too many agents. I took a week off from texting the agents, and I just go with patterns. I'm a pattern recognizer, and based on the pattern, I would be shocked. Now, I could be wrong. A tour could be like, John's an idiot. He said last week he's not going to play. Based on the pattern, let the man practice, play him against the Vikings.
Yeah, I think that's one of the more interesting ones with Aleem is not really knowing whether or not he'll play this week. I lean more with you. I think the other thing too, Kirby Joseph, I don't think that's anything to worry about at this point, right, Doc? Kirby's probably a full go. They brought in another DB. You think Kirby probably just an injury they're monitoring, but nothing that will make him miss this week potentially? Kind of your confidence in that? You think they have Kirby out there?
My confidence is through the roof. that he's gonna steal an interception from Amik Robertson this week. He got one from Terrion. Now he's got to steal one from Amik and Rock. He's got to get the trifecta. So I'm very I'm very happy with Kirby Joseph. Look, it's lingering. You see the brace. It's always concerning, but my God, let's just first of all, we should really credit this this defense for how they're playing. It's a privilege to watch Kirby Joseph and his innate ability to just secure that football, man. It's a great thing to see. It's just, and listen, it's fun to joke with him that he gets the easiest interceptions thrown to him because all the crappy quarterbacks find a way to throw it to him. But my goodness, it's I remember because I was blessed as a young podcaster in my early days to sit in that room when he was drafted and to see the confidence and to hear Brad Holmes say, man, it's really great to see a guy that's a ball hawk that's going to make plays for us. So I'm really happy that it actually came to fruition because there were so many guys that came in that were overhyped and never delivered. This guy comes in and just does the job and just a ball hawk. It's a privilege to watch. And I have no doubts that he'll be out there. And let's get another one. It's time for him to get another pick six out there at Arrowhead, baby. I love it. I think he's listen, man, he's a game wrecker and he should be appreciated as such.
And Doc, can you hear me?
I hear you just fine, brother.
I was down for a minute there. And I do want to ask you, you're talking about defense with Kirby and stuff, and I know you spoke a little bit about Aleem. Defensive line as a whole, this defensive line has actually been very good compared to what people thought going into the year, and especially when you kind of talk about the pass rush with the linebackers included as well. What are your thoughts on that going into this Chiefs game? Do you think they're going to be able to handle their own and contain a guy like Patrick Mahomes, especially with kind of a little beat-up secondary? Do you think this D-line, guys like Hutch, AQM's been incredible, Ty Leak is a young rookie, DJ Reader, I mean, I keep going down the list, and the linebackers, Trevor Nowatzki and Derek Barnes. How do you think these guys hold up versus a guy like Patrick Mahomes on Sunday?
Yeah, it was
great. Doc, do you think do you still think they messed up not getting Za'Darius? Where are you at with that? Guys, now we're 5 weeks in. Where are you at with that?
Well, listen, I have not done the comparative analysis to see. Listen, Al-Quadin Muhammad is better, but he's played more than Za'Darius. So we have to do the statistical analysis where I see if I were to project the numbers, it could be very close. But listen, in the end, Al-Quadin Muhammad is at the same level of Za'Darius Smith. And would I like him on the Lions as opposed to the Eagles? Yeah. But hey, so far so good, man. So far so good. And for the value, it may end up being a situation in which Lacey and Al-Quadin Muhammad will do the job, and Brad Holmes will showcase that he was right and we were wrong. But again, this is regular season. That answer is just still so far away to determine. But and also too, you got to also look at their roles. You know, the Eagles' defensive line is doing their thing, and they got issues on offense, which is crazy that they can't spread the ball around, which is so great that the Lions, all those mouths to feed, nobody's complaining. Could you imagine if J-Mo was acting like AJ Brown? Oh my goodness. Patrick, it was interesting. Just before I came on, a former Chief, I was just doing a fun chat that I've done for a friend for a long time. A former Chief was on there just talking trash about the Lions, and he was like, and he actually, he sold it well. Not believable in terms of the believability that the Chiefs can beat the Lions, but he was like, Patrick Mahomes is going to carve up that secondary. I am concerned that, you're dealing with two backups. Yeah, Amik Robertson is a level 1 starter, realistically, but at the same token, that Patrick Mahomes is going to be looking for. I like this kid Thornton, man. He had a good game. He's had a good first month of the season. His film pops. Like you go, oh, that guy's serious. It's going to be competitive. I feel like it's going to be a similar game like the Jaguars. I feel like it's going to be a 37-34 kind of game, and I do feel like the Lions are going to win. I like the Lions and their ability to just it's so amazing. The way in which they run the football well. They're getting the turnovers right now. They're playing amazingly well defensively. The linebacker unit is stellar. So it's just a fun thing. It's hard. Like when you're talking about third down efficiency and some things like that and penalties and stuff like that, that's a good problem to have, man. This football team is worthy. And how great is that? How great is that Sports Illustrated, one of the iconic brands, ESPN, Yahoo, CBS Sports, who typically hates on the Lions, and all the Ringer, Bleacher Report, all these amazing companies, which I'm lucky to work for one, where I can talk to patent people on the chat here that are watching me instead of continuing to do more patents. You're wasting your time listening to me. That's great. But in the end, man, it's a great thing. This week, I got to write a story that did amazingly well. The Lions, and I was first, 8 a.m. Typically, I get that because I'm an early bird. I'm not doing patents. I'm just typing in power rankings. It was amazing. I woke up because I didn't know. I wake up and I can tell you how about my Tuesdays. I wake up, I listen to Dan on the radio, write that all up sophisticatedly, journalistically, and then I start looking at the power rankings, and I'm like, Sports Illustrated, I look at that first because they give it to me, and I go, wow, number one, this is good. ESPN, number one, this is really good. I'm like, oh my goodness, 111. Now, if I want to hate, the one company that competes with me that kind of does the same job as me is the Sporting News. The Sporting News, which you should all now cancel, did not have the Lions number one. I was like, what? And I did do some journalistic thinking. I said, O'Toole would think that I would cut this out and just have a universal number one. And I said to myself, would that clown O'Toole like me and respect me if I took it out and just had all number ones? And I'd be like, nah, he would. He'd be mad. So I left it in there. But Sporting News, shame on you. I used to grow up, side note, I listened to Sporting News radio when I was in college, and they used to have a nice little jingle, and they'd have 24-hour radio. So to hear the Lions be number one this week is amazing. We should respect it. Like, as much hate as we can give on the Lions at times, to appreciate them at this point in time has been amazing. And to see them universally at number one, I think gives them credit until they lose next. I'm going to keep rolling with the Detroit Lions as being the winners.
Doc, what do you think the pace Aiden's on? I know he asked you, Booner asked you about the D-line, but just specifically Aiden, he's had sacks robbed away from penalties due to an error by him at one of them, but the others, Taron Arnold, Brian Branch, a safety robbed from him, forced fumble robbed from him, and he's still up there in sacks. He's favored to win Defensive Player of the Year. What have you kind of made of the impact he's made so far for this Lions team at the level he's playing at? Even getting robbed with sacks.
Who asked? Now, I have to remember too now, because there is so many questions asked. Sometimes I always go, I wonder if this was asked before. I feel like it maybe was or hasn't, but I was like, I don't care. I'm going to ask it again. So I asked Aiden today. I said, Aiden, man, you've had 3 sacks taken off the board, bro. How do you handle that? Because I'd be mad. I'd be like, Terrion, I need this money. You're taking bread off my table. I need the bread. You know what I mean? Because there's people out there that will say, I have this many sacks, 4 or 5. I should have 8. I should have a forced fumble. I should have a lot more in my stat column. But you keep taking it away, brother. My man, stop.
Yeah.
I asked him directly, and just kind of look how he looks when he's talking to somebody else. He looks at me, and the look that he gave in my mind, and maybe I'm projecting, but I felt like he was looking like, oh, man, this guy's asking me a question. Please, why? Why this question? The way he handled it was kind of funny, but also at the same time, kind of interesting. He's like, we will not talk about this anymore. It will not happen anymore. And we will project positivity. And you know what that screamed to me? He must be pissed. Like, seriously, because at the end of the day, let's just say he finishes the year with 13 sacks. That number, if you got it to 16, 17, if more happens, that could literally equate to millions of dollars in regards to real.
Doc, it could be the difference between leading the league in sacks and not leading the league in sacks.
Defensive Player of the Year, the talk, the highlights. So stats are important, and really just in the end for the hard work. Like, I record a sack, I want to have a sack. But in the end, he always answered those questions kind of lately, just kind of this laid back, approach and stuff like that. But I did get a chance to talk to him first time ever one-on-one, where I just said, hey, can I talk to you, man? He's like, sure. And I asked him, I said, hey, have you been getting chop block less based on whatever report, non-report, whatever, bogus, not bogus? Only people in the chat care the legitimacy of it. He's like, yeah, it's actually been a little bit less. He's like, the first 2 weeks was pretty bad in terms of the number. And I do think he said it on camera. He said, I think people were testing him to see how he was. It slowed down a little bit. I'm curious to see if the Chiefs try a little bit of chicanery. I'm very curious to see, does the how the Chiefs try to limit Aiden Hutchinson. But look, man, he's a talented player. He'll overcome it. It's all fun and jokes. But I definitely wanted to see how he kind of would handle that kind of question. And he handled it in a way maybe I would handle it the same way, where I'd say, listen, stop it. I don't care. Make it not happen anymore. But if he thinks if it happens, I'm going to give the number 3. If he gets 3 more off the board, I'm going to ask it again.
Doug, I do want to bring this up here because we are 5 games into the season now. And one thing preseason that we actually talked about before the year was that we really can't judge these coordinators until we get to about week 5 or 6 to actually get a good feel for them. What grades would you give John Morton as the OC and as well as Kelvin Shepherd as the DC through the 5 weeks here that you've seen so far?
Yeah, man, it's crazy. Let me tell you this. Everybody was panicking, and I know I mentioned it in some form or fashion that I wasn't really concerned too much about the change just based on the talent, but there's a whole angle that is kind of being said, but is not being said boldly. There's a chance that the addition, and I've thought about this and I might have said it somewhere, but there's a chance the addition of John Morton and Kelvin Shepherd made the team better. And here's why. It doesn't have to be necessarily that John Morton is a better X's and O's schemer than Ben Johnson, or Kelvin Shepherd is that much more advanced. Just if you want to keep it on a simple nature, if someone's barking at you for years upon years upon years, for 3 years, and you just take them out and you have the same person and a different kind of person come in, there's a refreshing nature of that. You know what I mean? I'm hoping in 5 years when we keep talking, you get a whole new crew of people in the chat and we can yell at them about their literacy. Because if I'm still talking to Otor and T in 5 years, I'm just be like, I'm going to ignore you. But I have fun with them now. You know what I mean? Just the nature of the new voices in the room. Because listen, it seems like Kelvin Shepherd and John Morton yell at these guys a lot more. Like, from what I'm hearing on the inside, journalistically, what I'm hearing is that these guys are getting yelled at like ferociously. And that's the same, but it's a new voice. It's a new energy. And with that said, I humbly think that it's up to me to declare that the Detroit Lions are better with these two than the old two. Proof's in the pudding. Numbers are good. They're playing well. Linebackers are developing. Offensive line looks great. They fixed their problem from week 1 in 1 week. Guys, they're averaging, if my math is correct. Now, it's been a long time. I have consumed quite a bit of alcohol in the last several weeks. I'm having a good time. If my math is correct, if I added the scores from the last 4 games and divided by 4, the average is 40. 40.23, whatever the number is. They're averaging 40 points a game. You got to credit these dudes to just really the way that these guys are reacting. It's new blood. It's fresh blood, and I'm here for the ride. A+ for both. A+ for both.
Yeah, Doc, what do you make of this kind of NFC North division now? The Packers had a bye week. They're 2-1-1. The Lions are obviously it seems like in charge of the NFC North for right now. I've already tweeted out, I think the Lions are going to win this division. I locked it up already. Me and Booner had it. He didn't like that I did that, but I locked up the NFC North already. I think it was in week 5. What do you make of this NFC North now from where we were after week 1 to now, and your confidence of the Lions can get their 3rd consecutive NFC North division title?
Yeah, I'm very happy. And it's a very fun ride. And then just quick side note. Listen, I love the chat. I actually, to be honest, I wouldn't bring you guys up if I didn't love it. I am one of you guys. You guys think people are like, that guy, whoever's messaging you is a mentally challenged individual. Listen, I'm in the chat room. I have a good time. I call into radio shows. Let me tell you this on a side note. And listen, I think you guys know that you got to be a little off to be able to cover a team 365 days a year, do 50 podcasts, and be a little off. I used to call sports radio and tape myself. That's how much I love this genre of podcasting, debating. I used to, and I actually, credit to me, if you guys know, I won one time the Stoney and Wojo What's Your Beef, where I called in and just had like a 4-minute rant, just screaming and yelling. And they gave me all you can eat wings with me and 5 friends. And if I told you we crushed 1,000 wings in 4 hours, I'm telling you, the people in Southgate still remember when Doc brought his 300-pound lineman friends and we just ate wings for 3 hours. So I don't care. I love you guys. We debate, we have fun. You call me stupid and lazy, and I call you ignorant. I love you guys. I live for this. I love it. It has no bearing. You could, like I said, hate on me. I don't care. It brings me joy to come on here and have a little fun, debate a little bit, rile people up. I sometimes go into comments and people are like, man, Jeff and Booner should kick this asshole off the air. And I'm like, maybe they should, but I don't know. We have a good time. They let me come on and just speak freely. And
never, Doc, never.
Yeah. To your point about the NFC, I love it. I love the fact the Bears are a little bit better, gaining a little confidence. So when we curb stomp them again, we can bring them back down to earth. I am disappointed that Jaden Reed got hurt. I'm a Spartan dog, and we're licking our wounds. We suck again. And we're watching, the national media just love on Bryce Underwood. And hopefully they come back down to earth with a trip out west. We'll see. But I love the Lions are the kings of not only the division. I think they're right now legitimately Lions, Eagles, Buccaneers. You're right there in the class of the NFC. It may not be as good as people think. Rams up and down a little bit, but I'm really loving the Lions position, and I can't wait because I think we're getting closer where we get to have that Scott Harris talk with Brad Holmes one more time. Add to this team. I feel it. If you add to this team, and I don't care. Listen, I don't care if I'm right, wrong, if I'm crazy. I just do the trifecta. What do I want? I want an offensive lineman. I want a cornerback. I want a linebacker. I want an offensive weapon. I want the big four. Just get more. My right is to ask for more. And this football team, I think, can compete for all their goals. Dude, they're 4-1. They have a chance legitimately to be 5-1. That Bucs game might be a little tough because, Baker Mayfield's got some weird magic going on, but we seem to have their number. And will injuries impact the Lions? We shall see. But right now, guys, sit back. Truly, I've been telling my cousin Adam and telling everybody, look, I know we debate and we look at fine-tuned things, but this last month has been fun because I've thoroughly enjoyed the whole ride, from traveling to Baltimore to curb stomping the Bears before, and then the Browns and the Bengals. Dude, the Lions are doing things that are not really seen too often in these parts, where they can make mistakes, they overcome it. And typically in the past, I've watched a lot of games where they would go out and play the Bengals, have a lead like that, and then the Bengals would make a run in the fourth quarter and the Lions would lose. Instead, the Lions had a drive. They just marched down the field. Boom, let's hit Amon-Ra. Boom, let's move down the field. Touchdown, see you later. Good night. Here's one to Tesla. See you later, alligator. And we move on. This is a fun ride, and I'm enjoying literally every minute of it. I think back to back division champs 3 times, baby.
Hey, what's going on there? It's Jeff Iafrate. Appreciate you for finishing the video. You can check out one of the videos here suggested, or show support by commenting, liking, and subscribing. And buy your merchandise, officialctsports.com.